It's live radio, and that's exciting. We get pumped up. We love what we do. We've been doing this for about 20 years. Now, unfortunately, as I said at the beginning of the show, Nancy Stewart, my co-host, my wife, who started the show with me about 20 years ago, she's not feeling well. She's home, and she wouldn't come into the studio anyway because she's very contagious. I got lucky, and apparently I'm immune to COVID. I got tested yesterday. So we're in the studio without Nancy, and Nancy is our champion for the female listeners. So I'm asking a special favor of you female listeners out there. Without Nancy here, without Nancy Stewart by my side here in the studio, she's watching us hopefully on YouTube. We're trying to get set up on YouTube. If not, she's listening on the radio. And
Yes.
we're doing our best to get the YouTube thing going, but it may not happen. If we can't do that, it's going to be like we started out. We started out on radio, and we have the call-in number. We have the text number. I've given you the call-in number. I'll give it to you again because the calls are very important. 877-960-9960. We'd love to hear from you. If you're a woman, female, you haven't called the show, Nancy Stewart will send you a check for $50 if you're a first-time female caller. I mean, it sounds like too good to be true, and as your father told you, it ain't so. If it's too good to be true, it's not true. Okay, well, this is true. $50, a check in the mail, no conditions. If you haven't called the show before and you're female, and you call 877-960-9960, Nancy Stewart will write out a check for you in a couple days. You'll have it before next Saturday if you're the first two new female callers. Why do we do that? Well, when we started the show, and even it's true today to some extent, men like to talk about cars. I mean, it's a man thing. It was a man thing. It's no longer a man thing. That's what That's what we're trying to cure. We want the ladies who buy over half the cars, who drive over half the cars, especially service. They seem to bring them in for service more often than men do. I mean, the ladies are more involved with automobiles today than men, and we don't have equality when it comes to calls. So, hence, the $50 to the first two new female callers. If you call 877-960-9960, you get a check in the mail from Nancy Stewart. No conditions, no strings attached before next Saturday. She'll have it to your home in the U.S. mail, and we'll ask you to leave the contact information with our studio, Jeremy, who's in the studio, to keep your contact information secret. So when you call the show, stay on the line, and we'll give you that $50. With all that said,
Turn it over to Nancy. We'll turn it over to Nancy.
Turn it over to Nancy. Yeah. Nancy is not here, but you better be listening now because we're generating some female callers. So you let us know if you're out there, and you call the show if you like. I mean, let me get into my normal part of the show, which should be at this time of year, which is January the 6th. We're into the new year. We're into an exciting 2024 because everything's upside down in the car business, retail and manufacturing. I mean, we got electric vehicles replacing the combustion engine. Huge controversial topic. I can see a lot of you folks out there say, yeah, right, ain't going to happen. No, electric cars, not going to happen. I mean, it's almost a political thing. It's like getting a Republican and a Democrat in the same room. Either you're a combustion engine person or you're an electric vehicle person. There's just a lot of emotion in that. But the statistics and the scientific facts say, let me be safe here. In 20 years, you won't be able to buy a combustion engine car. You will not be able to buy a combustion engine car in 20 years. So, I just saw a high-five victory sign from Stu, meaning the YouTube may be working. We sure hope so.
I can
And the
report
YouTube-
that we are live on YouTube, youtube.com/Earl on Cars with sound and video.
Hallelujah. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. And that way you stream us, you see us. It's not that that's so exciting, but we have some props every now and then. Like I'll hold up a something from automotive news, and you'll be able to see it better, something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
And so it's video is important. Rick.
But more important, we're going to the phones.
Oh,
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
hey Bob.
Bob.
Good morning. Also, I would like to say I hope Nancy has a quick recovery
Thank you.
for her illness. And I see that we're already going to court. So the NADA has already filed a lawsuit against the FTC,
Yeah.
and along with another organization out in Texas. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out in court.
It'll be a
Sure
big fight.
will.
Big fight.
And it's going to be a big fight. And I also understand there's also a committee in Congress that was formed that's against it. So
You're kidding
I'm
me.
not quite sure. No, and I'm not sure who makes up. I'm not quite sure who makes up the committee. There were 17 Democrats that came out in favor, but they said there was a House committee that was formed that is trying to block it. So you're going to get into the politics of all this.
I didn't
The
read that.
politics of all this. Yeah, the politics of all this stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say, I did go on Amazon today to see about how this process works for buying a car,
Right.
and I've kind of gotten stumbled a couple times. One time they sent me out to a deal that was like on Long Island, and then this morning I tried it again, and I tried the most basic models, the most basic colors. Matter of fact, I tried 3 different models with, white with black interior, which is the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And it says there's no models within 300 miles of any of the models I tried. I tried 3 different models of the Hyundai Tucson, the SUV. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. Maybe it's just
There are,
gonna
yeah.
take 'em-
I think they're
Go ahead.
they're partnering with some dealers, so maybe there's none in the South Florida or within that range here that's done it yet. But I don't. Has it launched yet? Have they begun?
Now we're talking
Yeah,
about
The Hyundai on
it's
Amazon.
Amazon, Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, and Kia, and they're starting out with Hyundai. But they actually haven't kicked it in yet, Bob. I think they're. I know I have been on Amazon to the Hyundai purchase thing too, and they should make it a little clearer what they're doing. You're right, but when they do kick it in, it will be, according to them, it will be purchasing a Kia or a Hyundai or Genesis, starting with Hyundai, in the same manner you buy a loaf of bread or whatever else you buy on Amazon. It'll be done completely through Amazon, but it will be the car at your option can either be delivered to you through the dealer, but it'll still come to your front door, or you can pick it up at the dealership. But the payment, the financing, and the pricing and everything will be under control of Amazon.
Right. Well, they do have it up on the website, but like I said,
I haven't seen it recently, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's up there. It just keeps showing me that there's no vehicles within 300 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure what dealers signed up. Maybe there weren't any local dealers in Florida.
I would have a hard time imagining a lot of dealers, Hyundai dealers, especially in South Florida, wanting to do it.
Yeah, there are 18 dealerships is all in the whole United States for Hyundai that they'll start out with. So they'll start out with 18 Hyundai dealers, and probably won't have one, definitely won't have one in each state, and it'll be just a pilot program. So as Stu just said, the Hyundai dealers are probably reluctant to stick their toe in the water on this thing. My guess is the Hyundai dealers that go forward will be the ones who have owners have multiple franchises. So it'll be like maybe a Penske Hyundai dealer or a Lithia Hyundai dealer or an AutoNation Hyundai dealer, somebody that doesn't have all their eggs in one basket. If you're a Hyundai dealer and all you got is a Hyundai franchise, and you take that leap to go with Amazon, you'd be afraid for your franchise. You'd be afraid for something happening. But it'll happen. There's no question in my mind it's going to happen. And Hyundai, the manufacturer, is very wise to see this because they got into the United States late, and they are having a heck of a time competing against Honda and Toyota, not to mention even the big three, because they got into America too late. This will be a way for Hyundai to leapfrog and get right up there and give Honda and Toyota, General Motors and Ford some serious competition.
Okay, well, I got just one more question. I read that, and it's a Toyota question, so maybe you can answer it. I read that the Toyota Supra, the sales this year have collapsed from what they did last year. And is there any particular reason for that? Is because, do you think that's because of the price or the availability? What is it with that vehicle?
Yeah, it's the type of car it is. It's a, you get overplay, over publicity. Everybody loves a sexy sports car. The fact of the matter is, people don't buy sexy, high-priced, fast sports cars for cars. They buy them to impress their neighbors or to drag race on I-95 or because they got too much money. They don't know what to do with it, but it's not a bread and butter car. So it didn't surprise us as a Toyota dealership that the very first Supras we had many years ago didn't sell that many. And today, high price, in this case, oftentimes gas guzzling compared to everything else, vehicles don't sell very well. So yeah, it's you see them on advertising on the news. Everybody's excited about it, talks about it, and then you look at the statistics. Nobody's buying them. So we were not surprised.
Okay. Well, I want to wish everybody a happy New Year, and I look forward to your. You're going to have your shopping report today.
Yeah, that's a doozy.
Oh, okay. Most 99% of them. 99% of them are. Okay.
Thanks for the call, Bob.
All right. Have a great day.
You too, my friend.
Bye-bye.
And now we've got Roadrunner Steve.
Oh, beep, beep, Roadrunner.
Good morning, everybody. Nancy, get well soon. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
Good. It was hard getting through to you last week, but I got through it today. Did you read the story about the Tesla droid that attacked the worker in the Austin plant?
The Tesla
droid that worked
I missed
on
that part.
Yeah,
Say that again,
robot.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm here.
No, say that again?
The Tesla robot attacked one of the workers at the Austin
I didn't hear about that, no.
Attacked it?
Yeah.
Well, that's good news and bad news. It sounds like the robot's working.
Yes, but the funny thing is, it says the injury was apparently not severe enough to require the employee to take time off from work. I wouldn't go back there. I mean, I'd be scared. Like, what could happen with that? Also, it reminds me of that movie Attack of the Robots there from the 70s. They had flamethrowers coming out of the arms and all that stuff like that. I mean, that's some story. The other thing I want to talk to you about is I got a Nissan Frontier, right?
Uh-huh.
So my battery went dead, and it was the last day of 2023. So I called up AAA. The guy was here in a half hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put the battery in, normal standard battery, just loosen the clips and put it in, bop, 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 it's in. So then on Tuesday, I called up Nissan. Yeah, your battery I bought the battery in January 2020. So he goes, oh, yeah, interstate battery. So I told him, yeah, I had a battery put in by AAA, new battery. Well, we can put a battery in for you for $199 and labor. I said, didn't you hear what I just said? I said, AAA put the battery in my car. He goes, yeah, but we can put one in for you also. I'm like, so I said, let me ask you something. Is the battery pro-rated? He goes, no. I said, well, it said on the battery 85 months. He goes, yeah, but they only last 3 years. So what do you put 85 months on the battery for? So then he goes, well, you don't have a Nissan battery in your car. I said, stop right there. I was going to say, I told him, listen, Nissan don't make batteries. okay? They made in the factory. There's a guy there with Ford stickers, sticks a Ford sticker on the battery. Another guy that puts a Mopar sticker on the battery. There's another guy that puts a Chevrolet sticker on the battery. Nissan does not make batteries. All of a sudden you hear crickets on the phone. With that. And I didn't hear nothing, so I just hung up.
I don't blame you. That's crazy. A lot of sometimes they're not trying to lie to you; they just are misinformed. You know, the manufacturers will brand a part, a battery or whatever it may be, brand it with their name, but they bought it somewhere else. There are very few parts that manufacturers. I'm talking about critical component parts that manufacturers actually build. They buy the parts and assemble them, but a lot of people, I guess, including technicians and service advisors, say, "Oh, it says Toyota. We must have made the battery." But usually,
I know people get fooled by that.
Yeah.
But they have to buy that battery. My other quick question is: when I open my gas cap, right? What's all that black stuff around the inside of the door?
Dirt.
Mold.
Oh,
That's
worse than I thought.
It's
fine. And I wanted to ask you, but I couldn't get through. See, I thought it was from like using that gas that has the sugar in it. You know, the stuff they got out now.
The ethanol, you mean?
ethanol.
Yeah. With that, so that's just mold. That's there.
Yep, it's a mold. You could a good car wash cleaner will wash that out.
No,
Toothbrush.
I go to Steve.
Not your usual one.
With the, yes, my usual one. I pay myself very well on, and I'm a good tipper. Okay.
Hey, Steve.
Nancy, get well soon. I want to talk to the woman and not the men sometimes. But,
She'll be back next week.
Happy New Year. Okay, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you. Bye.
If Steve's still listening, I was going to say before he signed off that the Consumer Reports, February, the very, very current Consumer Reports, you probably only get it if you subscribe, but you can pick it up on the stands pretty shortly. February has got a really great article in there about batteries, car batteries, and Rick can confirm this. I guess I kind of knew it, but they really drove it home. You have to make a decision whether you want the lead acid, and they call the other battery an AGM, absorbed glass mat.
Yep.
So the AGM is a higher tech, better battery, but it costs more money.
A lot more.
Yeah. When you say a lot more, we talking double or what?
60 to 80% more.
Yeah. Consumer Reports kind of insinuates you should go with the AGM. I guess when you're talking batteries, it's kind of like you don't want to necessarily save money. I mean, it's like if you have a pacemaker, you want the battery. If you have a car is kind of like a pacemaker. I mean, you don't want the car to stop on I-95 or the turnpike. And if I have to pay 60% more, that something is going to give me 60% more likelihood that my car is going to start or not stop, I think I'm going with the extra 60%.
Well, it won't necessarily stall on you or die on you on the road.
No, I know.
What it'll do is it's going to catch you that one night when it's pouring rain and you're out in the boonies with no cell reception and you go to start the car and it won't start.
Or you get back into town after a vacation, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're all by yourself in the airport parking garage, and there's a guy really weird with a raincoat and dark glasses, and you get in the car and you want to leave, but the car won't start. It's kind of one of those things.
That's
exactly.
a vivid picture.
And that's the worst time.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll never do it at the time when, hey, there happens to be a guy standing right there with a set of jumper cables. That's not the time your car's not going to fire up. It's always the worst time.
Exactly. Okay, where are we with phone calls, YouTubes?
Well, I could jump over. Do we have any calls?
And not at the moment.
They all call for Nancy.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's okay. Anne-Marie texts for me and you, for all of us. But
well, let me get the number out because maybe that's one of the reasons. There's one thing that Nancy does very well, and we forget without Nancy. Nancy, are you there? Okay. We hope you're listening. We're on YouTube, youtube.com.
Not audio, though. We're having, for some reason.
The audio ain't working. The video is working.
Everything's looking like it's set up right, though.
Okay, 877-960-9960. The call-in number, 877 877-960-9960. If you don't have a call you want to make right now, no thoughts, write the number down, please. If you're not driving, of course. 877-960-9960. Now we'll go to Anne-Marie's text.
Okay. Anne-Marie says, good morning. The latest statistics that I can find shows that the unemployment rate in Florida was 2.9% as of November 2023. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Does that make it harder or easier to fill an open position when one becomes available? It feels like it makes it a lot harder, especially on all positions really. It's like everybody has a job now, so that's the trick there. Second part of her question was, do dealers poach good employees from each other? Just wondering. We try to. Yeah. We try to. And when I say we, I'm speaking as all dealers. They're not really bribed, but they're enticed with signing bonuses, gas allowances, demos, special pay plans, all sorts of incentives to get a good salesperson or a good F&I salesperson or a good service salesperson to come on board. It's done for salespeople usually.
I'll tell you how important it is to our dealership, and I think to a lot of businesses out there. It's harder today to hire quality people than ever before since I can remember.
Yeah.
And you probably, wherever you're dealing, whether you're dealing at the department stores or lawnmower services or plumbers or whatever you're doing, you're finding that the service is not there, that the phone's answering is not there, the quality of the people that we're dealing with. The quality is coming down. So if you're running a quality business, where do you find quality people? At our dealership, for example, we pay our employees that work with us, what we like to think the cream of the crop, because we really have some good people. We pay them a $1,000 bonus if they can bring in a new person that we hire. And so that's how important it is.
And that's for any position.
Any position, and our employees, fortunately, and we found that quality people know other quality people. So we've got about 150 employees, and we like to think of them as the cream of the crop, and they are. And so they have people that they know and deal with, friends, relatives, neighbors, and they say, hey, you might want to consider going to Earl Stewart Toyota, and I get a signing bonus. I'm paid for if you are hired and remain with them. I can make $1,000. So that's how important it is.
Well, I'm going to take 50 away from you.
Good.
Linda, our first-time caller from Jupiter.
Wow.
Hey, they do call when Nancy's not here.
Hi, Linda.
How are you?
Well, good, thank you. Now that you called, I'm really good.
I've enjoyed listening to you many times going to work, so I figured, all right. I am a grandmother, and I have a Toyota CHR right now that I just love, but it's just too small to put the stroller in. I just see my family getting bigger, so I was thinking about the Kia Sorento, and I was just wondering your thoughts on that.
Measure it out very well, especially that back cargo area, and compare it to your CHR. But I'd also look into some of the others. Subaru, their Outback, I believe, and their Forester has got some good storage areas on it. Toyota, we've got the RAV4, the Venza, the Highlander. Honda, I think the CR-V, and I'm really not up on some of the good Honda models, but those are my top three choices, really, especially kind of above the Kia. I would look at Toyota, Honda, and Subaru, and not even necessarily in that order.
And Linda, I would also say that once you've narrowed it down to the two or three that you'd like to consider buying, actually try the vehicle out and try to use that storage area, and with what you typically would be using it for, whether it's golf clubs or groceries or furniture or whatever you typically, kids, dogs, whatever you are carrying around, try it. And even if you have to rent a car, if the dealer doesn't have one, it'd be worth a one-day rental just to be sure you like it.
Yep,
sure.
Right. That's that's a good idea. That's
And
a really good
one
idea.
last bit of wisdom for you: try
Yeah.
Consumer Reports before you settle on any SUV. I looked at the Kia Sorento right now, so it does pretty good, but not great on reliability. So it's 61 out of 100. I like, but it's kind of the yellowish green. But the owner satisfaction is a 3 out of 5, and it's in the yellow. So I didn't read the details. So if you can,
Okay.
you can get a copy for free at the library. But other than that, you got to get a subscription.
All right, thank
And
you.
Make
I
sure you
appreciate
stay,
your help.
Linda, make sure you stay on the
Yeah.
line so that Jeremy can get your contact information and we can get a check out to you within a couple days.
Yeah, Nancy Stewart will be writing your check. She writes them personally, and
Okay.
and she will mail it. She mails it personally. She puts it in the mailbox herself, and she needs your contact information. So if you get that information to Jeremy, just stay on the line. Jeremy will get it from you. That way we keep it confidential. You don't have to put it out over the air. You will have that check before next Saturday's show. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.
And that number again, 1-800-877-960-9960. And we are going to Bill in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, I have a question for Rick. Tell me about low tire pressure indicators. I've got a low indicator light on my dash. I've checked all the tires. I've got a compressor at home, so I've checked the tires. The tire pressure is correct. However, the light doesn't go out. I've been told that each of those indicators on each tire has a battery, is operated by a battery. Is that correct?
In
And
most cases,
do I have
yes.
to replace one battery or all of them?
Yeah, it
Hang on
depends
for
on the car. But the first thing you should also check, depending on the car again, I think he just dropped off, but hopefully he's still listening online. Bill, the first thing you check is the spare tire, because there are quite a few models out there, older models, that had a full-size spare and had a sensor in the spare as well. So check that one. And if that's not the case, if all the tires are right, then it's probably one of the sensors has stopped working or the battery has died on it, and you'll need to have that sensor replaced. And we are now open and clear on the phones. So,
Okay.
folks, 877-960-9960. Our text number, 772-497-6530. What is that, 6539?
6530.
6530.
I got two of those. I'll give you one of
Should have
those.
kept one of these over here for me, yeah.
All right. Well, Anne Marie went on to say, since we don't have a call, she says, get well soon, Nancy. And rundown, this is a rundown for today's show, but that was for me. But yeah, right now, currently, no audio on YouTube, but the radio is good. And but the streaming, audio streaming is good. So you can listen to us. If you want to get fancy, guys, on YouTube, you could watch and then listen to streamearloncars.com.
We have 18 people watching on YouTube right now.
Yeah, they're watching
That's
without without the hearing. So, hey, thanks, guys. We love you.
They have text. Can't you bring the text up?
I don't know if closed caption would work.
It would only work if it's hearing
Yeah,
if
if
it's
you've got-
hearing what you're saying and it's not hearing it, because
Yeah.
there's something with this unit here. I have a mixer
Yeah.
and I have an output, and there's something going on, and it's been sporadic. So who knows? It might be a bad cord, and that'd be pretty.
But you know,
embarrassing.
I've got a feel good story that I read online earlier, and I thought this one really kind of was cool. A U.S. serviceman apparently had saved up quite a bit of his money. He went to a dealership, a Dodge dealership in the Midwest, and ordered a Dodge Challenger, brand new one, 2023 Dodge Challenger Demon 170, which is a very limited production,
Sounds very scary.
super fast car. This is the one that will actually beat Earl's Tesla
Ooh.
on the quarter mile.
We don't like this car.
He ordered it in a color pattern known as F8, and then when he was deployed overseas, his family member was going to pick up the car when it came in, and the dealership, now he'd even made arrangements. He was paying $50,000 over MSRP. The dealership sold the car out from under him to another customer for a higher price.
Oh my God.
And when the serviceman found out about it, he contacted Dodge Chrysler, and started complaining about it. The CEO of Chrysler stepped up when he heard about this story and took one of 40 special edition Dodge Demons. Had it arranged to be made in the specifications and color that the man had originally ordered, sold it to him, they are selling it to him at MSRP only, no markup, and they've even arranged for Jay Leno to present the car to him.
Well, what a great PR that was. That was $1 million in PR.
I got to hand it to Chrysler for that one. That was standing up and taking care of a customer and saying, no, we're going to do right.
Very good.
Yeah. And now we got John in Palm City.
Hey, John.
Good morning to everybody. I got a question for Rick. Dull headlights in South Florida, big common problem, plastic. They get dull from the sun. Did Rick ever hear of Cerakote Kit? It's on Amazon, and it's under $20. Has he heard about that, or has any result in that?
I have not heard of this. Is it a cleaner?
Yes, it's a cleaner, and you sand it first, and then from what I understand, you coat it with that, and they say it's very successful. But let me ask you this question. Do you have any so-called shortcuts or recommendations to clean the headlights on these cars when they get dull?
Before Rick answers, John, just one thing, because I consider myself an Amazon expert. My life is half Amazon. I buy everything on Amazon. But anyway, I always go to the Amazon ratings, and the Amazon requires that the people buy the product before they can rate it. Now, that doesn't eliminate fraud, but it minimizes fraud. And you can go through, I always look for something that has 4+ stars, like 4.1, 4.2. You can find something with a 4.7. It usually is a great product. And then I go to the reviews, and I don't read the good reviews. I read the bad reviews, because there's mostly all good. And I find out what the worst thing they can say about them is. Once you go through that, you're pretty well assured. I've never gone through that process and been disappointed with an Amazon product I bought. So just a little tip, especially on something like that headlamp cleaner, might help save you a lot of time.
Well, it's called Cerakote, Cerakote,
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon. It's under $20, and I heard the ad on it. But that's good advice that you give to look up and see what the ratings is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rick.
Now, what does Rick recommend on cleaning the headlights?
Well, I've used a lot of products. I've done my own personal headlight car several times on my truck. I've done family members' cars, and I'll tell you, most of the products work equally well, and they will bring that back to a crystal clear, shine right through appearance, and it'll last about a year to a year and a half. And then it starts to fog up again. The only thing I have found that will extend that year and a half and does it beautifully, I did this experiment on my own truck. I got 3M clear vinyl wrap, and I'm no good at the wrapping part. So what I did is I put just a big square piece over the main portion of one headlight. After I'd polished them up, made them look as good as they could be, and I put that on just one side. And then I waited. Now it's been about 3.5 years, and even that 3M side has started really getting cloudy, but it's still 50% better than the side that I have just left alone. That other side is just opaque, but the one with that 3M clear film has done amazing, and that's been several years now. So my plan actually for my truck, I'm going to buy a new set of headlights pretty soon and replace it with some aftermarket headlights. They have all the fancy lights in them and all that, and dress it up a little. But when I do, I'm going to take it into our shop that we have, our new tint shop, and have them do a 3M clear vinyl covering on those headlights before I install them, so that way they'll last so much longer.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, if I were going to spend the time and money to have your headlights polished and really clean them and shine them up, consider the extra cost that you might have to spend to get that 3M vinyl put on your headlights, and I think you'd see a nice increase in the lifespan.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, that's great advice. Because you think by now it's been going on for so long that the manufacturers would do something about this major problem.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they went from glass to polymer, and it is safer. The polymer is safer, and it weighs a lot less.
But it's ugly.
But it gets ugly.
Well, John, you've been around long enough to know the real reason manufacturers don't worry about things like that. The manufacturer wants to sell you a new car every 3 or 4 years. Now, they can't do that anymore, so now it's every 5 or 6 years. The sad fact is, I mean, it's a happy fact, but sad in terms of sales, is the product and quality product, thanks to competition, has made a car something today that you buy the right car. You could keep that car for 10, 15 years, several 100,000 miles, and so they're not designing the cars to last that long, but they do. So it's good. It's the old good news, bad news thing. Yeah, they don't want to. And if you trade the car in, they don't care about the used car trade in. They don't sell that car. Somebody else sells it. So every car that you buy today is going to have those little glitches like that. You're totally right. I agree with you with the headlamps. It makes no sense that the headlamps get yellow after a few years. Makes no sense, but that's the way it is. They don't care.
Okay, thank you guys for the advice.
Thanks, John. 877-960-9960. Nancy Stewart is home with COVID, and she is our co-host here, female advocate. We have had one lady caller, first time, and $50 check. Nancy Stewart is probably making the check out right now, and it will be mailed to her. And Linda was our first new caller.
That's right.
We have another $50 for the second new female caller. I'm trying to do as good a job as Nancy. I know it's not as good a job, but I'm trying to uphold her end of it while she's coughing and sneezing and miserable at home right now with the COVID.
She was yelling out the phone number when Rick was botching it.
At any rate, another $50 for the first time. If you haven't called the show before and you're female, we'd love to give you $50 and bring up the female listening audience.
Yeah, we're tired of just the bros.
Yeah, she's already sent me a text. I have to write out the phone number 1,000 times on a piece of paper and give it to her at the next show.
That's the punishment. That looks like a chalkboard behind Earl. You can write it on there.
Oh,
I'll bring a piece of chalk next week.
Jonathan would be so mad at me. That's his green screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I wanted to get fancy, I was planning on trying to throw up some green screen pictures behind you, but apparently just the basics are hard enough to keep going.
Oh.
Just to bring up to speed, I think we have audio on YouTube, but it's of some lower quality, but they can hear it. It's just kind of staticky.
Oh, cool.
So it might just be the quality of this piece of equipment that I bought. So we'll find out. But I got a text here from Deck. He says, good morning, all. Regarding the Ford Connect 2011 rear brakes from last Saturday. You remember that? We were talking about the drums and having to hammer them off?
Yes.
Okay. So regarding the rear brakes from last Saturday's show, there is no adjustment at the back plate as there's no flywheel on the bottom spring. So many thanks and Happy New Year to all. So I guess that...
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
It worked out. Well, that's good. Thanks for keeping us up to date. And let me look over here on anonymous feedback because we don't have any more texts. We have lots of comments on YouTube I can see now, but they're helping us get the audio right.
Yeah.
Here's a anonymous feedback here. I recognize the style. Hello, Earl. I've been checking your inventory for some time now, and I don't see any attractive Toyota Sienna minivans on your lot, but mostly high-end vehicles, which are kind of expensive. Any feedback would be welcome. I see Infinity of West Palm Beach has immaculate Toyota minivans, but they still believe in junk fees. Thanks.
Yeah.
So
I saw that anonymous feedback, and I sent it to our used car manager and to our wholesale manager to see if we could help. Remember, when you do anonymous feedbacks, you can ask for a reply.
Yep.
Now, it still protects your identity, your privacy.
Yeah.
Just because you ask for a reply, we have to reply through the anonymous feedback.
Let me show you. If you're watching here, this is what I see.
Yeah.
It's just a list of messages. I'm holding it still, and the message appears, but there's no contact information. And if somebody wants to reply, below this box right here, there will be a little box, and it will say reply, and it will go to you. But I don't know where it's going. It just
It's
it
going.
goes.
It goes through. What is
Encryption.
the website?
It's called Who Answered Me or Incognito.
Incognito, and it's spelled Neato. If any of you are interested in the anonymous feedback, if you're business owners or just people listening to the show, but it's really a cool way to hear from people who are otherwise afraid to talk to you. Yeah. It's like the police hotline. I mean, people don't want to be identified. They see a crime committed or a suspicious person or a package, maybe a bomb. They don't want the aggravation and the publicity, so they do it anonymously. We have this anonymous feedback. You can sign up for this. It's Incognito, INCOGNEATO
.com.
No, it's not .com. It's a dot. It's a weird.
Well, it's strange because their actual website is Who Answered Me, but the company is Incognito. It's whoanswered.me.
.me, yeah.
Yeah, but it's but the company is called Incognito, and the website is all one word, whoanswered.me.
But Incognito is spelled differently, right?
Yes, it's like Nito, like Nito.
Why do people do that? I mean, when you market, if you're marketing a product, you don't make it difficult.
Because maybe the real spelling of Incognito was already trademarked.
Rick?
But now we are going to go to Marty in West Palm Beach.
Yo, Marty.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're coming through. I got you on this audio on my phone and
oh, cool.
Watching you on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So,
excellent.
So that part does work.
It looks pretty
Here's
stark.
Here's my question for Stu or Earl.
All right.
The used car prices, when you go to do a trade-in, have so dramatically gone down. And since the retail prices of the cars or the MSRPs have stayed the same, no discounts, unless you really need a car, I have to follow Earl's advice. You got to walk away for now. And I want to know if you agree.
I totally agree. If it's, if there is a, something you're expecting to get and you're just not getting it. Now, here's the other part of it is it doesn't like turn around and they don't start appreciating it again. So if that's the market, and you don't need to trade your car, then I would say just wait. But if you're, waiting, I wouldn't expect like used car prices to start just coming back.
Marty, what I would do, let me add to that. It's so easy to sell a used car today. You go back 10 years, it was a nightmare. Man, we used to warn people on the air, if you're selling your car, don't meet with a person on a dark street. I mean, be sure they have the title. Be sure they're not going to assault you. I mean, selling a used car, you had to go to extreme measures to do it. Today, you have a lot of companies set up that are equipped to do this online. So even though the market's down, I would go ahead and shop my car periodically. What's going to take you, an hour of your time to sit down with your smartphone or your PC and go to WeBuyAnyCar.com, CarMax, Vroom, multiple sources out there, and shop it with the car dealers' used car departments too. It's kind of fun too. The reason I suggest this is we do this for a living. I mean, when people come into our dealership to buy a car, we try to find the best price we can. I'm getting a red phone call. Maybe you
want me to get
so
it?
Anyway, that's we take and call some of these outside sources that are from. CarMax is our favorite, and to be sure we're giving a fair price or a high price on the trade-in. So, Marty, don't do anything, but once every a couple of weeks, you might suddenly find some guy out there or company that gives you $1,000 more than you thought you could get. You might want to grab it. Probably not, but it's worth a few minutes of your time.
Yeah, all I can say is from 6 months ago, the value has come down so much that it has made the new car purchase, for me personally, not worth it. Because my used car is still running great.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And sometimes keeping that used car running great is the better option.
Yeah. Let's let's put it this way. You can buy a lot of gas instead of spending another $20,000 or $25,000 on the trade-in. You can buy a lot of gas for $25,000 on a non-hybrid car.
Yep.
You're right about that. Yeah, people get caught up in these little things that you're absolutely right about that, Phil. Gas is not the primary reason you buy a car.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but Tesla, they said this back at the end of 23. They said in 24 they're going to reduce the prices even more.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are or they're not.
Oh, they will. Tesla, the old joke about I'm afraid to look back because someone might be gaining on me. Elon Musk has BYD gaining on the Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer, and they came out of nowhere. The only people that knew that was happening was Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, his partner, who passed away. They were in on BYD years ago. They're a super sharp company, and guess what? They outsold Tesla in the fourth quarter of 2023. I mean, they came out of nowhere, and they're Chinese. They build a quality car, and they have an amazing battery, and it's going to be it's fun to be alive if you're in the car business because you see things happening that you never dreamed would be happening. So I love to get up and check the news every day to see what happened.
Now that car's not being sold yet in the United States.
No, it's being banned. they're outselling Tesla worldwide without even being able to sell in the United States. The Biden administration has put tariffs or maybe just an embargo, I don't know, whatever, but they're not allowing the BYD to be sold in the United States, protecting the United States electric vehicle industry.
Yeah, all right, well, for anybody that can't hear you, like I say, I'm using the phone for the audio. So
Thanks,
you're coming through nice and clear on that. So hope Nancy gets better soon. And we'll see you the regular way next week.
Sounds good, Marty. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
877-960-9960. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now we'll welcome back Lynn, a repeat caller from Boynton Beach.
Hello, Lynn.
Good morning, Lynn. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I just wanted to say that the other day I spoke to Nancy. I had gotten my $50 check. And I didn't realize that at my bank, they don't take checks anymore at the ATM to deposit. They just take cash. So I had gone to the bank. Now, my husband's driving me because I'm recovering from a broken neck, right? Ooh. So we go up there a few times during the week, and I'm getting all frustrated. So it ended up where I just put it in my purse and forgot about it for a while. But it's been almost a month. So the other day I went back to the bank, and I finally had to go to a person to deposit the $50 check. But I called Nancy because in the check you gave me a card, and Nancy, there was a number on it. So I called, and I really couldn't believe Nancy answered the phone. and I knew she sounded kind of sick. This was like about 2 days ago, I think. And I was like, oh, my God. So we had a little chat, and I explained what was going on. And she was going to, I said, I just want to make sure you get in touch with your accountants because I know these things have to go through, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, so we had a nice little chat, and I felt bad because she didn't feel good, I could tell. And, but I have to tell you, you know, she is a trooper. And, yeah, and so we had a really nice talk. And, you know, you guys, you are so lucky to have her as a mother and a wife, you know, because she is just, wow, just great. Yeah, not only that, but she has fantastic penmanship. You know, on the check when she was writing, you know. So I just wanted to get in touch and say, you know, prayers for Nancy And I had called a few months ago about saving the insurance on my car, and I called and I saved like over $250 on my total insurance bill for my 2 cars. And that's what, when I called, that was what I had called about. So that too, every time I get my thing now for half price, I'm like, wow, great. So thank her again for that. But I just wanted to call and say that you people, your whole family is just fantastic, and we love listening to you and getting information.
Nancy's listening to you right now at home, and that will
Hi,
really
Nancy.
make her feel
Hi,
better.
Nancy. Okay, Happy New Year to all of you.
You too.
Thank you.
Lynn.
Happy New
Thank
Year.
you very much.
Great. Okay, bye-bye now.
Wow, what a wonderful caller. We have her for life now. She was a first-time caller before, and now she's part of our.
We got her.
Yeah. Welcome to Earl on Cars.
And we'll say good morning to Frank in Jupiter Farms.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, there you
Morning.
is.
Hey.
The lady's part of the new Stewart family instead of the Schumacher guy. Anyway, did you all see the sunrise this morning? How beautiful that turned out?
Well, we were just talking about that before the show, and Earl showed us pictures of the sunrise on his phone. We didn't see it personally, but yes, we did see it because we saw pictures. Amazing.
I'll show it to you, yeah.
It was like glorious, and I was telling my dad that I don't live near the ocean, but inside my bathroom it started glowing orange this morning. I'm like, what's going on? Is there a fire outside? No, it was. Yeah, he's showing that on live on YouTube right now.
Yeah,
we live in paradise. That is for
sure. I sent
sure.
you a picture, by the way, of the SpaceX rocket launch on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You just sent that to me. I can't put it on the air because I'm not as talented as Jonathan, but it does look like a lion riding like a surfboard or something.
Yeah. This I need to. I haven't seen that one of those for live. That was someone posted from Jupiter Farms, but I had the golden opportunity back when I was still in the Air Force. Downrange, I was on a rescue plane, and the shuttle would go overhead of us in case anything happened. We had special crew members to go save the astronauts.
That's cool.
But, that was cool. But the other thing, let's see. I was going to talk to you about something else.
Hey, Frank, as long as you're talking about spaceships and having actually been involved in that, are you aware that the SpaceX now, all the spacecraft are stainless steel?
Yeah.
Did you know?
Yeah, the Starship is. Yeah.
Starship, yeah. I mean, it's amazing. What a radical change.
Right.
To go, and stainless steel is pretty heavy too. Yeah. So it's and apparently it's cheaper.
Yes.
And it's working a lot better. Obviously. Yeah.
They seem to work.
Well, I got one quick joke. You always know I have a joke for you guys.
Okay.
All right.
Since it's the holiday season. Well, we went out for Chinese last night, and we got talking to the waiter. He told me he lived in Japan during the war and was a kamikaze pilot, and his code name was Chow Mein. I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't kamikaze pilots sacrifice their own lives? He replied, yes, but I was chicken Chow Mein. Hey, look, you're talking to a former pilot, both airlines and militaries, and so,
I get you.
That's
an old one, probably.
See, I can appreciate that because I'm an old guy like you, Frank. So, but that used to be hysterical. But it's I as long as you did that bad taste joke, I'll give you a bad taste joke back. When I first started out as a Toyota dealer, back in 1975, and even before that, I guess probably, one of my jokes was on Pearl Harbor Day. I used to joke about we were going to have a let bygones be bygones day sale.
Bygone sale.
And, it was back when I was evil and had no feeling or sense of or sensitivity whatsoever, forgetting about the fact that it was a horrible Pearl Harbor was a terrible thing that happened, and the whole World War II, the greatest catastrophe of all mankind. And to be joking about that, only an idiot like myself back in those days would say something like that.
Time allows for these things eventually.
Right.
Maybe not in 1968, but nowadays you could joke around about.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing is when you tell some of these jokes, because of the age difference of the population out there, they don't even know what a kamikaze pilot was. And they don't even really know.
Right. They think it's a shot.
Yeah.
With vodka and lime juice, I think. Whatever a kamikaze
Sounds about right.
That's what we had in Gainesville. Well, thanks for
again,
calling, Frank.
Wish Nancy a safe.
Oh, thank you so much. We will, definitely. She's listening, so she hears all the well wishes, and I'm sure it's helping speed her recovery.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
And good morning, Jay in Hobe Sound.
Hi, Jay.
Good morning. I've got an issue. My mother-in-law does. She's 94 years old, and she only drives like 5 to 10 miles a week. And she's been having a problem. Her battery keeps dying, and I believe that's because she's not out driving it enough for the alternator to charge the battery. Does that sound right?
Exactly correct. A couple things you can try. The most obvious, of course, is a trickle charger that either plugs into the house and would keep a small charge going on the battery, or they make solar.
Let me ask a question about that, Rick, because I have the same problem. Nancy and I, we love the Tesla so much. We drive the Tesla all the time, and we don't drive our Avalon, and the battery keeps going dead. To have a trickle charger on there, is there a way you can put a trickle charger on a car without having to open the hood and close the hood? And
oh yeah,
okay. Is it a special kind of charger you get that you can connect from inside the car or something like that?
Not really. I hooked one of these up on my mother's car years ago, where it simply has a little cord that comes up by the windshield, and I zip tied it to a piece of trim. So she could simply unplug just one simple cord, and the short end, of course, was kept to the car, but it was locked in place.
Have you patented that device?
No, because all I used was zip ties.
Mechanic simple. I'm telling you right now, you would spark the sale of trickle chargers 1,000,000 times, because I don't know, Jay, am I right? I mean, you got a 94-year-old mother-in-law. She's not going to be popping the hood and closing the hood to put on and take off her trickle charger. She probably has to call you. Then you got to go over to the house. Wouldn't it be nice if she could just slide that little, basically a switch?
Yeah, it was just a little plug. She would just plug it in. When she'd drive up to the house, she would grab the cord. I had a hook, so the cord would coil up and hang on the hook. She would grab the cord, pull it over, plug it into the car, and it would just slowly charge the battery. And when she was going to go somewhere, she'd unplug it, hang the cord on the hook, and off she went.
What do you think about that, Jay?
That sounds like a great solution. And she's got a 2002 Lincoln Town Car with 37,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow, yeah. Now, the other option to consider, and this is one that would take some getting used to, is the idea of using Ubers. And because I see a lot of cars that come into the shop, and I admit I look over things quite carefully on the repair order and all this, and I notice a lot of very new cars, 2, 3, 4 years old, extremely low miles. And I question this because I wonder, someone is making a $400 or $500 a month car payment or more, plus $100 a month or more for insurance, to drive a car 20 or 30 miles, maybe 100 miles a month.
Let me stop you in mid-sentence, okay? The reason you're saying this is because you're a young man. You don't understand a 94-year-old woman, or in my case, an 83-year-old man.
The freedom machine.
We want our car. We don't want a bus. We don't want a taxi. We don't want an Uber. We don't want a limo. We want. We
want to get up and go.
I had an uncle, Uncle Charlie, years and years ago, and Uncle Charlie got too old to drive.
I remember.
He had a Cadillac, and every Sunday he and Aunt Marion would go around and visit everybody. That's what we did back in those days. You visited houses. You pull up unannounced, knock on the door. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
that's weird now.
When he could no longer drive, he refused to sell the car or do anything with the car. Uncle Charlie had to have his Cadillac in his driveway. It was an old Cadillac, by the way, 20-year-old Cadillac, and it just sat there. The tires were square, but he felt good because that was his car. And that's why old people like to have their cars that they can drive. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, yeah, but they shouldn't be on the road. They shouldn't be driving. Easy for you to say. You're not 94 years old, but I'm just telling you that if the trickle charger idea you just gave Jay is great, it'll really, really be a...
I simply offer it as an alternative.
Yes.
But I do understand that because I remember the days when we had to try to discuss with my father about it was time for him to give up his license.
Yep.
And one of the hardest things in my life, I'll tell you.
Yep.
Stu, I don't wish that upon you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
The next thing, I won't launch into autonomous driving, but that's one of the reasons I'm such an advocate of fully autonomous driving. It's not here yet. People get mad at me when I talk about it. I got a bumper sticker on my car that my son gave me that laughs at it, and it should be laughed at today because it's not ready for the road. But when autonomous cars are safe, and they will be, it is going to be the greatest boon to the older driver ever. And people are getting older and older. I mean, 94 years old. Pretty soon we'll be talking 104 years old.
Yeah. I don't even worry about that because I know when I get to that stage, I don't even think about that.
No,
I got 20 more years to worry about.
It's a done deal for you.
30 more years, maybe.
Yeah.
And also, she went into a Lincoln dealer, and they told her that they don't sell like regular old sedans anymore. They're all SUVs.
Yeah. Is that true? Yeah, I saw. It's really funny because I saw a Lincoln Continental yesterday. I don't know how old it was.
Town car.
Continental.
A Continental or a town car.
Yeah, and it was this big sedan, and it looked really contemporary, like a brand new car. And I looked at it, and I thought they didn't make them anymore. It might have been a few years old, but they're done with that. No more cars.
They gave her one of these new Lincolns to drive, and she absolutely hated it because of all the new technology. I was wondering, does any phone manufacturer make something that's more like the old analog?
Never going back that way.
No.
Never going back. All the manufacturers, everything looks like a computer. Everything has a large screen on it now. With a lot of infotainment
and for
and
that very
distractions.
reason, you'll find on the used car market, if you have a clean, well-maintained Lincoln Town Car, Lincoln Continental, or any vehicle of that type and description, where it actually has a trunk that you can put a couple of sets of golf clubs and some groceries and some other stuff. When you have a car like that and it's well taken care of, it's worth a lot of money because there are a lot of old people that still, like me. I mean, I wish we had. Actually, I do. I've got a good trunk on my Tesla because it's a hatchback.
Because you got no engine.
Yeah, no engine.
You got plenty of storage space. You know, it's interesting. There is a market for simplified phones. There are people who are sick of smartphones, the distractions, and you can buy a simplified phone. There's that one, but there's a lot. There's a lot of very stylish ones that are they're great, but they don't have the stuff. I wonder if there is a market for a simplified car that just had, like exactly what you're saying.
Great idea.
And it's still sophisticated and a great technology, safe as anything, but you don't have to look at the distractions.
Well, you know what that
it's
car
got
is?
It's got a cassette player.
That's a fully autonomous car.
You're right. When you don't have to worry about it.
You don't do anything.
You just get there and talk.
You walk out, the car pulls up, and opens the door, and you get in, and you say, "Take me to Taco Bell," and or Walgreens.
And you can ignore all the bells and whistles. Just enjoy the ride.
I'd love to see that day.
Somebody would start manufacturing like a 68 Camaro again.
Yeah.
Well, they did those kind of retro-looking cars, but they still put all the technology in it. They could have just one less step and just kept it like it was back then.
I'll tell you what, a new Lincoln Town Car today, limited production would be, you could sell it for whatever you want to sell it for. People would buy that car today, and for the next 10 or 20 years, that would probably be a pretty good product. But it'll die, and the fully autonomous car will be here.
Rick's coach.
They'd sell their soul to buy their childhood back.
That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'd like to get my old Super back.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay, and now we've got Bobby in West Palm Beach. And Howard, please hold on.
Wow, they're backed up.
Good morning, Bobby.
Hi, good morning. I was calling to report good work from Rick, which happens all the time, but I was calling to report it to the boss, but since she's out, I'll tell you, Earl.
Ooh.
I just want to let you know that Rick remains accessible for car problems, and I don't want to pile up a long line in front of him. But whenever I email him or have a problem, he always turns up and gives not just a superficial answer, but a good answer. In this case, it was a transmission on a Toyota, which has lifetime fluid, which is a little skeptical, and he seems to be of the opinion that don't mess with it. Is that good summary, Rick?
That's my opinion. My truck has 175,000 miles on it, original transmission fluid. I've never touched it, and that's on a pickup truck. And I've done some heavy towing with that thing.
It sure seems to me, and we're talking about Sienna in this case, but it appears to be quite a few of the Toyotas. Part of the lifetime transmission fluid is that they've made the transmission inaccessible for mechanics. Is that correct?
Yes. There's no dipstick anymore. The procedure to actually fill and top that fluid requires a scan tool, watching the actual temperature of the transmission, adding fluid, watching a little overflow drain plug in the bottom of the pan, then adding a specific amount back into it after you've finished. It's a very complicated system and a very complicated process to get that fluid level exactly correct. And if it's off by even, say, a half a liter, that can actually cause the transmission to act funny.
This discussion isn't even going to be taking place. We're talking about a mechanical device, a transmission that has been as nearly perfected as such a complicated mess can be perfected, and that's what we have now. But the really good news is transmissions will cease to exist because electric vehicles don't have transmissions. So it's an obsolete product. So car manufacturers are not going to work on transmissions anymore. What you see is what you get. It's never going to get any better. And when they break, there's not going to be another one to replace it with. You're going to get an electric vehicle with no transmission.
Yeah, you're probably right, and it probably won't be too long from now. So I guess we need to stock up on transmissions.
Well, just to give a little spin.
To change the subject quickly, not to try to deceive the elderly, but sometimes the car not working is a way to keep people that shouldn't be driving from driving, and so getting it fixed isn't necessarily a good idea. You might just want to live with that. But I will say this and we deal with the elderly from time to time. If you can tell them, I'm going to come by on Wednesday and take you out to breakfast, and then we're going to go to Publix, and then we're going to go to Walmart. A lot of times they're good with that if they know there's a regular schedule and you stick with it. But as you said, Earl, the idea of having the car there is comforting to them.
Yeah, we're talking about them like they're a different species. I'm one of them species. So, no, what you're saying is exactly right. And when I was 50 years old or younger, and I'd see these blankety blanks on the road, I used to have derogatory names for them, and I find myself today referring to that old bastard or something of that nature, some derogatory comment, and I even will describe people. I'll say, if I get somebody that complains about something, I might say to my service manager, "Yeah, he was an old guy just called me," and I'm thinking to myself, "Wait a minute, he was younger than I am." So there is a mindset, unfortunately, people, a negative mindset toward older people. And I'm an old guy that makes fun of old guys. So it's just
you
not
never
right.
change. You are who you are.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing is? If there is a negative perception, it probably comes mainly from driving, and the anonymous car thing is going to eliminate that from culture.
Yeah.
If there's no, old people driving slow or frustrating people, and I'm saying that because, just, characterizing what we're saying.
Yeah.
But
Right.
in the future, no one's going to think about it.
Yeah.
Right. But having a time when somebody comes and takes them somewhere is also it's a scheduled event, and they like it, and you as car dealers probably know better than most. Two people staring straight ahead can solve a lot of problems talking to each other while they're driving down the road.
That's right.
It's not as bad as it sounds, and it ends up being better than they think.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of cases, you're right. And as Stu said, fortunately, we're not going to have to worry about that much longer because we're going to have the best of all worlds. The elderly can either have their own, they can ride by themselves in their autonomous vehicle, or they can have their friend ride with them in the autonomous vehicle. And if you ride with other people in autonomous vehicles, you can chit chat, you can text,
Play bridge.
you can play pinochle,
Drink gin.
Right. So it's going to be a great world in a few years.
No transmissions and no drivers.
There you go.
That's all going away.
All right, thanks very much, and kudos to Rick again. So, and let the boss know about that.
All right,
Thanks, Bobby.
We'll tell her.
Okay, where are we?
We are going to Howard in Jupiter. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. How are you all doing?
We're doing great.
That's great. Okay, I have a question for Rick. This is a conundrum. I'm trying to figure out how this is happening. Every once in a while, maybe once a month, when I get out of my car, 2017 Camry XLE, the trunk opens, and I don't know why it's opening. So I go around and I close it, and the next 2 months it'll happen again. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing to have the trunk open. I'm not pulling the lever in the front.
This is the remote?
Which is manual opening.
Do you have Smart Key?
Yes.
There you go.
And the key's in your pocket.
Yes.
You're opening.
And as you're
pocket.
getting out of the car, I'm guessing, like me, probably getting a little up there because I'm going to be 56 this year, and I've noticed I move funny getting it out of my truck now. It takes me a little effort, some funny moves, and I'll bet something in your pocket is pressing against that button, and it's because your car's already unlocked. Even hitting the unlock button won't do anything, but if something's pressing against that trunk button and holding it just long enough,
it'll do
those odd times that your trunk is popping open.
That's amazing. I think you hit the nail on the head. I just realized that's the only way. And I was thinking about something like that, but
Right.
I'm 88 years old. I forgot.
No,
about
but you're going through what's every single possibility here. It could be this, and that.
See,
That was the
Howard,
one thing
if
you
you
left
pulled
off.
into the average car dealer, they would have charged you a $150 diagnostic fee, and then they would probably have fixed something they didn't really fix, and say, "Now you're good to go, Howard. That'll be $1,612."
Well, I learned my lesson a long time ago. The only car dealer I pull in is you. That's, and a friend of mine purchased a Toyota, and I went with him, and he has a 2019. Then he said to me yesterday, "I think I'm going to go to another mechanic because my warranty is over." I said, "Are you kidding? The other mechanic is going to sell you something you don't need. When you go to Earl, he only sells you things that you need. And not only that, what about the bagels?" He said, "Oh, the bagels? Oh, you're right. The bagels, not really."
The bagels are just tiebreakers. If you find a dealership that's just as good as
Tiebreaker.
us, yeah,
Absolutely.
but they don't get the bagels.
Now for that bit of advice, you can make the check out to Rick Kearney. Send it to. Totally kidding.
Okay, no, that's okay. Rick, you're great, and Earl, keep up the good work.
Thanks, Howard.
And you're a light, shining light to
Thank you very much.
to car buyers and et cetera. Okay, I'm losing my train of thought now. Okay,
Thanks, Howard.
Have a good day.
Happy New Year, Howard. Thank you.
And
877. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, we'll go to Bob in Pompano Beach.
Good morning. How you doing, Earl? You have a great show, by the way. I want to
Thank you very much.
every morning, if I'm up. You know what you said about cars being too complicated. I have a S-Class Mercedes, and I got one every 6 years or so. I trade it in and get a new one. And it's like the car, but the new one is they have this computer screen on it. And when it's sunny here in Florida, you can't see it that well. And that's one thing. And I'm really constantly just keeping the old car. I mean, I only have about 35,000 miles on it, so it runs well. But a few years ago, one of my trade-ins, maybe 10 years ago, I traded in, and I wanted something very simple. It was also S-Class. They gave me the limo edition. It didn't have a lot of things on it. And there is a market, I think, for less is best. A few things you could use, but a lot of those gadgetry just complicates things.
Yeah.
And I'm about 84 years old, so I was listening about your calls about old people. I don't feel that old. My mother died at 102. My contractor, his mom died at 106, and she was driving until about 6 months beforehand, never got in an accident.
Yeah.
So it's something people have to realize, too. It's the nature of individuals, too. You just can't paint.
You can't paint with a broad brush like that.
And I'm not an old guy, Earl, there, 83 years old, young boy.
He's a kid.
The bottom line is I really wonder about these electric cars. I live in a condominium, so I really find it difficult to charge it, whatever. But I just wonder what's going to happen with them because they have a big investment in it. I mean, it's a political thing, and it would be perfect for me the way I drive, just plug it in and go, you know. But I don't know. We'll see what goes on with that.
Well,
it's going to be a bumpy road. I mean, electric vehicles. It's a watershed, huge quantum leap for what we do, and Tesla's leading the pack now. BYD is hot on their tail, and we're talking about old guys. I unfortunately I won't be around when the water's calm, but they will calm, and my grandchildren will be driving fully autonomous electric vehicles with batteries ranging from 1,000 to 1,500 miles. There'll be no problem whatsoever, probably induction charging. You'll pull into the garage. You won't have to plug anything in. The floor of your garage will put an inductance charge overnight on your vehicle. So, yeah, but for you and me and even people younger than us, this battery thing is going to be a challenge, and how far you can go on a charge. Rick?
Yeah.
Don't forget some of the inductive highways where, as you're driving on the highway, you can recharge your car.
They've tried that in Europe.
Really?
Well, it's going to be a bumpy road, but you're right. Today, you and me, we're going to buy. I have an electric vehicle. It's a Tesla. It's a challenge. It's only because I'm a gadget freak. I enjoy it, but if I just wanted a car for transportation, I'd say it drives me crazy.
Right, you'd probably get a hybrid or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that Toyota hybrid Highlander. It's a very nice car. I'm thinking about trading a Mercedes into that. I might come up to Pompano to see you guys.
I would love that.
It's really I'd love to do it. You guys run a good business too. I think I like people I could do business with a handshake. And the car industry is hard to do that.
That's true. It always has been.
Thank you for your service, by the way. You do a great job.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye bye, guys.
Take care. Bye bye.
And that number is 877-960-9960, or text us 772-497-6530. And we are going to John in Stewart.
Hello.
Good morning, John.
Hey, John.
Good morning, guys. Hey, I have a pristine 2002 MR2 Spider. It's got 92,000 miles on it.
Ooh.
And so I went in to the local dealership here, and they want to do a $800 service on it, change the fluids. And I was thinking I didn't need to change the transmission fluid like you guys were talking about, and oil change, and I don't know. Basically, that was it. I don't think that's necessary. What do you guys think?
Let's see, a 2002. I'm trying to remember. I think that one was the beginning of WS, but it might have still been the Type T fluid. Regardless,
Okay.
I myself, unless it were acting up, I would leave it alone.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'd be
broken
very comfortable leaving that one go.
How's
If
it
it ain't
running?
broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
It's running
Oh,
well?
it runs great. Yeah, it runs great. It's fantastic. It's like 30 miles a gallon or so on the highway. It's just been a great car for me.
That's that little convertible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember I
Little
drove.
convertible,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like driving around in that. That was fun to drive.
Yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, well,
I was too tall for
like
it,
everybody said, give you some kudos there. You guys do a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Have a good week.
Thank
Cheers.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. You have any callers?
We are clear on the phones for
You know,
the
I
moment.
just can I get in a little bit of a commercial? Not a, well. When I said commercial, I'm thinking Big Dog Ranch, but that's not what I had in my head. The show started out with the fact that the Federal Trade Commission is being attacked by the car dealers. We knew this was going to happen, and for you folks who haven't been familiar with this or tuned in to the show before, the Federal Trade Commission has come out with some amazingly positive, consumer-friendly rules to make car dealers treat you honestly and ethically and transparently when you buy a car. It's revolutionary, and they don't. These rules go into effect July 30th. Now, we knew this was going to happen. There's going to be a huge, organized, extremely well-financed campaign to get your legislators to overturn the Federal Trade Commission and fight them to stop these rules from being put into effect. This is a huge. I'm asking you, listeners, if you have any thoughts, and I'm talking to Stu sitting across from me here, maybe with our website, earloncars.com, we could come up. We need to maybe do an organized anti-lobbying campaign where we're reaching all 50 states now, and this show and every congressman, every senator is key. And if we can somehow get the folks that listen to this show get proactive and let your legislators know you want the Federal Trade Commission rules to happen. No consumer, no car buyer does not want this to happen. And it's finally in writing. It's going to automatically kick in July 30th, 2024. How can we give the support and the pressure to our legislators in all 50 states to stop them? And I don't mean state legislators. I'm talking federal legislation in the U.S. Congress. Any ideas? We'd love to hear from you.
Well, definitely on Earl on Cars, we'll put all the resources there. Right now we have the link to make the comments, but I think we're past that point. We just want to make it easier for people to find their representative in Congress, because they're going after through in Congress, creating committees to try and weaken or attack this thing.
Should we start with the senators? And I'm just thinking, practically speaking.
I don't think that they have like that select committee set up. I think it's so much harder to meet with a senator, and I'm just saying this from when I did that.
There's so
Toyota
many
thing.
congressmen. See, the problem is if you're in California, New York, you got a zillion congressmen. How could we on our website focus and say this congressman is for the FTC regulation, this congressman is non-committal, this
Yeah, I don't know.
congressman is against it?
We'll have to start looking and see where that information is, and if we can get information, we'll try and centralize it on Earl on Cars.
Yeah.
But if you're listening now, if you know who your rep is, I'll tell you right now, in our immediate listing area, it's Brian Mast, and then right to the south of us is, oh gosh, is it Ted Lieu? I'm not sure. No, he's in Fort Lauderdale. Anyway, look up your local rep and your senator. We have two senators in Florida. You got Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, and all these guys, Democrat, Republican, they listen to who the lobbyists and the people that get in front of them. So, like you said, we're all resting easy, going, oh, we got this great rule coming, but there is an organized campaign nationally to squash this, or at least to neuter it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's politics, and I hate politics, and I'm not good at politics. And as I said, I could never run for public office because I could never pass the background check. But
then there's a statute of limitations. It doesn't go back forever. You're old. You're fine now.
Yeah.
I got a text here from Bob. We were talking about the older drivers. He says, take 50 drivers that are 16 years old, 80 plus drivers who do you think are the safer drivers? Because my money is on the 80 plus drivers. I wonder what the statistics are. I'll tell you, I don't think. Yeah, I think on the extreme ends, if you have a 125-year-old driver, you might want to be careful around that, and a 16-year-old driver, because they're nuts.
Well, here, and let me say this. This is coming from an old guy. It isn't the age; it's the acuity, you can have a driver that is 65 that shouldn't be driving, and a driver that's 95 that should be driving.
Well, I got it. We have an 83-year-old guy here who can talk extemporaneously for 2 hours, and it's all in the individual.
Yeah, so I would say this: as much as I hate to say this, there should be an enforced way to have people at a certain age prove their ability to drive again. I hate to say that. But
what if we did it to everybody?
It's too easy to get around. I won't mention the name of my doctor. Okay, I've got a general practitioner, and I've been going to him for years. And I said to him, just out of curiosity, because we're friends, I said, "Look, you've got a lot of elderly patients here, and I see them in the parking lot when I come and see you, and they shouldn't be driving." I says, "How many of those people are driving cars?" He says, "Earl," he says, their licenses are gone. They know they can't pass the test, and their license expires, and they just drive very carefully and hope that they don't get sick. But he basically said that most of his patients should not be driving, but they are driving, and they don't have licenses. So it's a crazy mess. It's a terrible mess. It's a sad statement, especially if you're an older guy or an older gal.
I was looking at it more from kind of a financial side myself, is the idea of you're spending the money on a car payment, insurance, maintenance, fuel on a car that's sitting and depreciating. And if you add all that up, the amount that it would cost to take luxury Uber rides.
Here's the problem. It's not a financial issue.
Right, and that's the side of it.
And there's no way. When I was your age, I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
I used to say, they ought to take that son of a bitch's license away.
Well, and on another side of the coin,
I think you can
me out on that.
You can say that.
It's not always age either. A friend of mine, a very good friend, worked in the department of the Palm Beach County Library System called Talking Books, which are books on tape for people who are visually impaired to the point that they cannot read a book.
So if they check those out, you grab their license.
Well, what would happen is normally these would be mailed to the people, sent through the mail. However, they had a large number of their patrons and to get these, you had to sign up and actually show medical reason why you should be allowed to use this Palm Beach County service. And they had a large number of their patrons who would drive to that office
to get the things they
to
could
pick
see.
up their audiobooks.
Did they flag these
and
people?
Bring them home.
Did they flag these people?
No.
Okay.
Never.
Well, there are a lot of people that like audiobooks like me, and I can read just fine. Stu doesn't read anything except audiobooks.
Right. Well, this was
That's
this
not
was
true.
back in the 80s when we didn't have the internet for them.
So what? If people had explained to me about audiobooks 20 years ago, I would never read a book again.
Right, but this was back when you couldn't get them on Amazon.
Yeah, this is back
it
in the
didn't
day.
exist.
And
this was the only way to get these audiobooks was to go to the place or to have them mailed to you.
Hey, what's your doctor's name? Was it Mandrake Kirby, the guy you didn't want to identify?
Yeah.
I think that was Johnny Carson's doctor.
Yeah, I was just saying that there were people legally blind
that were doing this,
who were driving to get these books. Yeah. So it's not just age.
I got
well,
you.
that's not to belabor. I was just thinking, as far as assessing the ability. Maybe they should do it periodically. I haven't been assessed for my driving since I was 16. I mean, maybe they should do it every 10 years.
I just got my eyes checked. I got my cataract surgery.
But let's be fair.
And I got a letter from my ophthalmologist saying, give them a license.
Well,
but they didn't tell me to take a test.
Right. Once you start at age 30, every 10 years, you got to take a test to prove that you're a good driver.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it should
There
be.
you go.
Yeah, I don't think it should be based on age.
But that's autonomous.
You're
Here we
right.
come.
Exactly. We have a new future coming.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, and our phones are shut down now, so we're ready for...
Okay, and you can still text us. We'd love to have you text us at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. Or send us anonymous feedback at youranonymousfeedback.com. youranonymousfeedback.com. And when we get to the mystery shopping report, we'll probably have some time, and we can talk about your text or your anonymous feedback.
And we have YouTube up and running in its basics.
Yeah.
So please vote on YouTube as well, because we love your comments there.
Yeah, vote on the curve. I'm going to read this mystery shopping report. There are no really great dealers, so there's no A's. I don't mean that literally, once in a while. And there are not very many F's. I don't mean that literally either. But you know what I'm talking about. Average. Shoot for the middle. The average dealer is pretty bad. That's a C. Here we go. We mystery shopped. I didn't know they were there. If I did, I forgot. Mystery shop of Palm Beach, Mitsubishi. Last I heard of Mitsubishi dealer in Palm Beach County, it was on North Lake Boulevard, and that's another story. Mitsubishi is probably the lowest volume vehicle sold.
I'm
anywhere.
surprised it's still around.
And I'm surprised it's still around, but it's interesting. They're on Australian Avenue in West Palm Beach.
Huh.
And I'll speak in the first person as if I were Agent Lightning, our crack undercover agent that goes in undetected and pretends to buy a car and comes up with these fabulous mystery shopping reports.
She needs a theme song.
She does, yeah.
I'll work on that.
We have a theme to play with. She can play.
Okay, I'm Agent Lightning. I walked in mid-afternoon, 1:38 p.m., was met by an employee, as is to Palm Beach, Mitsubishi in West Palm Beach, Florida. Palm Beach, Mitsubishi. The salesperson, or this person, it wasn't a salesperson, asked, "Do you need a salesman today?" I replied, "That'd be great." He excused himself, looked around for a bit, and returned to say, "I believe they're all in a meeting." I walked around looking at the two cars on the showroom floor. He came back and said, "I called her. She will be down when she's done with the meeting." Now, this goes back to my old days when I was... This would actually happen in my dealership. And if there's one thing, if the owner of this dealership is by his name is Chris Berrien. I happen to know the guy personally, Chris Berrien. I don't know how much money you spent when you bought Palm Beach Mitsubishi or built it, but it was probably a lot of money. And you didn't spend all that money to have a dealership, so when a prospective customer comes into your dealership at 1:38 p.m. in the afternoon and comes in to buy a Mitsubishi, and the receptionist says, "I'm sorry, all the salesmen are in a meeting." That's what happens. So I just thought I'd throw that out there in case Chris Berrien is listening. So the salesperson said that she'd be down shortly. The person I was speaking to responded, "Let me see if I can find out how long it'll be." He walked away again a few minutes later, 1:49 p.m.
Timestamps.
A saleswoman approached and asked, "Have you been helped yet today?" "No, I haven't been helped. You were in the meeting." "I haven't been helped." Anyway, that's a divergence there. I digressed. I replied, "No, I haven't." She asked me to follow her to her desk. At her desk, she asked, "Do you have a vehicle in mind?" I said, "I like the idea of Mitsubishi's new plug-in hybrid, the Outlander PHEV."
She went, "This is the first time someone's ever came in here and requested a Mitsubishi from me." No, I'm just kidding.
And wondered if they have any. She looked one up online. I said, "I got one. I'll grab the keys." We headed out to the lot. She handed me the keys to the new 2023 Now, you remember, this is 2024 we're talking about.
Right.
New 2023. Folks, just a little editorial comment. Be careful when you talk a new car today, because we've had a calendar year change. In a 2023, when you trade it in, whenever you decide to, they're not going to know whether you bought it in January of 2024 or January of 2023. To them, it's a year-old car, so you're looking at a new car that's a year old.
It's nice if you can get a 23 sometime in 22.
Yeah. Yeah, or it could be 2 years old. You could buy a new 2022.
Yeah.
So here it is, a new 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV in black diamond. I saw the MSRP was $48,005 with no addendum. That's a good sign. That's the only good sign you'll see in the shopping report. We talked a little bit about the gas savings I would be getting, but the salesperson, she wasn't very informed about the car. She said, if you want to take it for a drive, we can go back inside for me to get you registered, a copy of your license, and a license plate. I asked, can I drive it around the lot so I can see it real quick? I don't want to drive it until I know if I'm going to move forward or not. She agreed. Waited there while I went around and played around with the parking and the new gear shift. When I backed it into the spot, she stepped back over to meet me at the car and asked, what do you think? I said, I like it. I'd love to see the pricing on it. I saw a deal on your website that's offering this vehicle for $41,505, a $6,500 discount. Now, that's a huge discount, folks. I mean, if you're shopping for a car, or you have in the past couple of years, you just don't see a $6,500 discount off of MSRP. I showed her the ad on my phone. We went to her desk. I showed her the online pricing I was seeing. She called over a sales manager and introduced himself as Mark. Mark shook my hand very firmly, squeezed pretty tight, making me jump and say, ow.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Rude.
This is comical, but it's not comical. I squeezed my hand so hard, I yelled. He didn't say anything.
He just came over and squeezed her hand.
Like, I'm sorry. And jumped right in, taking over the computer. So I was going to say, it just gets worse. It can't get much worse. I showed him the online deal on my phone and said, unfortunately, there's a typo. Just a typo. Things are constantly changing. You know how that goes. He clicked on the drop-down box and pointed out what all needed to happen to qualify for the 6,500. So they hide the conditions, and you have to hit a box that drops down that says you have to be a
astronaut,
a communist or an astronaut, apparently their online pricing included an assortment of unobtainable rebates for the average person. We've seen this before. You've got to be a farmer. Seriously, there actually is a farmer discount. You have to be a farmer.
And there's a real estate agent.
Yeah, real estate agent. A $500 customer conquest rebate would be all that you may be able to get, he said. Now, conquest, that means you are driving a competitive car. Then he suggested that I consider leasing, saying if you lease, $6,500 or $6,700 would come off the top with the electric vehicle tax credit.
And that's true, but it's true also with a purchase. You have to get set up. We're doing that now with our dealership.
Yeah. And it's not true for all electric vehicles either.
Right.
So we didn't do the research on this, but anyway, be careful when you talk electric vehicle rebates, because not all electric vehicles qualify.
Right. Now, I do know, I don't know if they did it the same as the, remember they did it for, wasn't cash for clunkers, it was the old tax credits, and they'd had a certain amount per manufacturer. Is that the same case with this, or is there a cap?
I think that they changed it this time so that all the rebate goes to the dealer who can go directly to the customer.
Right. Yeah, right. So we have a portal that we're setting up now. Yeah. So when someone buys an electric vehicle from us, that comes off like a rebate at the time of sale.
Yeah. It's an automatic thing, He suggested I lease it. Listen carefully. This is pure fraud. He suggested I lease the car, and then once I make the first payment, pay it off or refinance it, mentioning that it's a loophole many people don't know about. Well, it's a loophole that people, whether they know about it or don't know about it, it's a terrible idea, because if you lease a car and you make one payment,
you're stuck.
You're screwed. Yeah, because you owe 36 more payments,
right,
or 48 more payments, or whatever the length of the lease.
This might have been possible. Maybe right in the beginning of this inventory surge where you could have gotten out, but not a day into your lease or a month into your lease.
Terribly premeditated, false advice given by this person,
sneaky
salesperson from Mitsubishi. I ignored the leasing aspect, went straight to the pricing. Your website showed I was getting $6,500 off sticker, MSRP, not $3,500 before the EV credit. He then said for me to come to his office where he could help me better. I followed. On the way, continued to say that he honestly doesn't like the sales tactics that dealerships use, and then named a bunch in our area that also don't give the details that they advertise.
Yeah, she didn't say which ones they were. I hope it wasn't us.
Well,
he's in West Palm Beach. He's
and the fact that
everybody.
He's working for a Mitsubishi dealership that doesn't sell any cars would tell you he's having a hard time getting a job, because a car salesperson worth his salt would not ever go to work for a Mitsubishi dealership. He tried to get a job at a dealership that sold a lot of cars. Mitsubishi does not sell very many cars. On the way, he continued to say that he honestly doesn't like the sales tactics. Oh, I just did that. I replied, this is exactly why my husband refuses to step foot into a car dealership with me unless he has the final numbers, knows exactly what he's dealing with. We've been burned too many times. It appears this is going to be another one of those. Ooh. He said he understands, and what can he do for me is to call the owner of the dealership. That's Chris Berrien, by the way, incontohabit.com. I don't think I could reach Chris Berrien. He's one of these people that is hard to reach. And plead my case that the online shows a $6,500 discount, and we're only $3,500 now. Let them know we have a pissed off customer, and hopefully they'll give me the deal. So that ain't going to happen.com. Right. The salesman is desperate at this point. The saleswoman, right? So
yeah, a saleswoman and a manager.
And a manager.
And we only have the name of the manager.
Gotcha.
But no, I'm sorry, we did at the end. There's a card. I didn't include the picture. Not important.
So I said, I'm Agent Lincoln, please show me your price as if I was buying and leasing so I could show my husband. Mark printed out the lease first to try and sell me on this. He was explaining it to me as I was looking at the sheet. He said, did Agent Lighting really say that he said this?
Yes. I didn't make this up.
This is so bizarre. Mark printed out the lease sheet first to try and sell me on this. He was explaining it to me as I was looking at the sheet, and he said, look at my eyes when I'm speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have just... I looked up and then right back down as I was shocked that he said that. I mean, of course, that's really weird, isn't it? Look at my eyes.
I had a moment like when I read this and I pictured like this bizarre. Look at my eye. I thought it was like Zanzibar, like Voltan.
It's so bizarre.
Like the mesmerizer.
Sounds misogynistic to me.
Well, that's what it is. I think she was probably taking notes, and he was irritated because she made a comment that they were getting frustrated, and he was rude. And
how dare you not look at my face when I'm speaking?
Yeah.
Maybe he was
hard to look at when I talk to you.
Oh.
That's what you say to your child.
Look
right?
in my eyes.
The top line showed MSRP of $48,005. He took off a $3,500 discount to make the selling price or capitalized cost, $44,505. He reduced the capitalized cost using a federal tax credit of $6,750, Mitsubishi's finance a $1,500 rebate, and a $500 conquest rebate for leaving Toyota. Agent Lightning drives a RAV4. I also volunteered a $5,000 down payment. Cooked into the lease was also an $1,199 dock fee, junk fee. The lease also allowed for only 10,000 miles a year, pretty low. But that's not that low. It's about average, really.
But they don't have any other fees on? No other dealer fees?
There was. That was all we could see on the worksheet was that dock fee.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but we've seen this when we have these
Well,
worksheets.
there would have been a lease admin fee, which we don't call a junk fee because it's a leasing company junk fee, but it's a junk fee. So, there would be, and the admin fee that Agent Lightning didn't see probably be around $700. Ooh.
Yeah, but we also don't know what happens in finance either.
No.
So this is a very simplified worksheet.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
the
all the
box.
detail we usually see.
He then said if I decide to purchase, I can talk to my accountant about getting a rebate back for the PHEV electric option, mentioning that I may or may not qualify for that on my next year's taxes. He went on to say that I would not get the captive bank option. That's for leases only. He said he will honor a $500 conquest rebate because I have a Toyota car now in my household. He pushed hard on the lease option, but I held firm and left. And, of course, car dealerships typically will push to lease because the lease is where they make more money than they do when you buy the car. On the average, probably about twice as much. So there you have it. A shocking, I hate to prejudice the grades by saying this, but a shockingly bad mystery shopping report on a shockingly small dealership.
It is shocking because usually Anne-Marie doesn't grade often, but she came in here she's the first one I got. What kind of salesman squeezes a hand so hard it hurts? Physical assault. Doesn't back off and expects to sell a car. False advice, rude, etc. Here's a crushing automatic F.
The salesperson sounds like a psycho.
Yeah. Well, no, that was a sales manager.
Sales manager.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
He
both
crushed
psychos.
his hand and said, "Look into my eyes." Oh, here's from I got this from Bob. A for Palm Beach, Mitsubishi. Oops, I'm sorry, that's a typo. It's really an F. Yeah, things change all the time. Thanks, Bob. I mean, like some of the business stuff wasn't so far out of left field, but those personal touches, the crushing of the hand and telling her to look in the eye. Not Anne-Marie, but Anne-Marie is not our shopper, by the way. I have Anne-Marie on the mind, and I'm going to fail him. There was shady advice with the whole and bad advice with the getting out of the car early. So I'm giving him an F.
Well, what probably isn't going to make any difference anyway because nobody buys cars there anyway.
Right, right. But somebody's going to ask us, do we have a Mitsubishi dealer on the recommended list? And we're going to say,
can I tell the story about Stu and I got a call from our real estate agent because he has some property on Northlake Boulevard, and he wanted to sell it to us because he could get us the Mitsubishi franchise.
Right.
So after we got through laughing and said, who would want a Mitsubishi franchise? And the sad thing is, I won't mention our real estate agent's name because it would embarrass him.
But he was
to sell the property, he took 25% of the property and sold it to a Mitsubishi. Somebody that didn't want the Mitsubishi franchise. They lasted how long?
Months.
A month?
Yeah, I mean, short.
No, longer than that.
Really?
I think probably a year. But nobody wants to buy Mitsubishis. And anyway, I digress. More votes.
Okay. We've got Donovan says, this is easy. F. Mark Anderson, grade D. $500 to leave Toyota for Mitsubishi? Who does that? Tom Steckel, F. My dad shot down Mitsubishis in World War II. This deal deserves the same treatment.
That's right. They were the zeros.
Terrible sales tactics and fraudulent advice. Guy Larrabee, because of the inaccurate lease information and the dock fee, I give him a D. Brian Slatko, it's a D for me. Johnny Fradley, look into my eyes, Mr. F-. Maybe the sales manager knew she was Agent Lightning. Cliff Picks, look at my eyes. I would have walked out. F.
I'm laughing here because Nancy's not here, and Nancy, I sometimes refer to her as the Black Widow because she really is tough. And a lot of people agree with her, by the way.
Yeah.
She's really tough when she grades these dealers. I mean, we'll give a C, and she'll give an F. I wonder what Nancy is thinking about this. She may be on her way over to the Mitsubishi dealership. Now, you're lucky that Nancy's got COVID, because if she didn't have COVID, she'd come over there and kick your ass. I can tell you that right now. Terrible, terrible report. I'm going to give them an F.
Yeah.
And I don't ever give Fs too, but man, that's a terrible report.
I wish we had a camera on Nancy right now.
Oh,
her
man.
face is probably 16 shades of
Listen, if
purple.
you're on the way over to the Mitsubishi, don't do something you'll be sorry for.
Go over there and cough on them. No, that would be biological warfare. Don't do that. I texted Nancy. I want her grade. Don't feel obligated to if you're feeling under the weather. Well, there you have it. You know,
Yep.
F for Palm Beach Mitsubishi. They're going on the do not recommended list.
And a couple more grade skiing.
Easy there, Rick.
Rick,
Excuse me, sorry.
You're going to start.
I can help you. Mark Smith gives him a D.
Yep.
Johnny Z. Freddy, LOL Donovan. Sorry, that's not a grade.
Yep.
And Donovan Lewis, the FCC is loving this radio show today, LOL. And did you get extreme rides?
I did not.
F, a bunch of Fs.
Oh, man.
There we go.
We got just a couple seconds here. We're thinking about Mitsubishi, and we're thinking about the F we just gave, and we're thinking how bad the car dealer network is, and we're talking about the Federal Trade Commission getting rid of dealers, and how we're talking about direct sales. And if you think a car dealer or a manufacturer's got a problem like Mitsubishi, how about Fisker? Fisker, I think they're one of the first electric vehicles around.
It was.
And they are so desperate that they're going the other way. They're looking for 50 dealers to sell their cars because they can't sell them direct. Here they have the holy grail. They have exactly what all manufacturers want. They want to be like Tesla and sell cars direct.
How much is the franchise? Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Nancy gave her graph. Nancy gave us her grade for Palm Beach Mitsubishi. It's a long line of Fs. Thank you, Nancy.
I saw one of those Fiskers down at the Aventura Mall years ago in the mall.
Yeah.
And I got to admit, though, that was a beautiful car.
Yeah, it was a good-looking car.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you got to be desperate. But here you are. You can finally have a pleasant retail honest experience, and they can't do it.
They can't even do
and
that.
They got to sign up. They got to sign up with the hey, Matt, maybe Mitsubishi, Chris Berrien, Mitsubishi, get yourself a Fisker.
Get a Fisker. Berrien Fisker Mitsubishi.
Fisker franchise.
That would be great. Well, I think even with our technical stuff, we did pretty good without the two biggest helps that we have in the studio.
Yep.
I mean, I was really nervous about doing it without Nancy and without Rick, but we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Here on Earl on Cars.